Hello everyone, hope you're doing well. Today it is time to have a look at another user mission for an upcoming vehicle. The Strategist event is going to bring us 4 new vehicles, the BI, or the Brezhnev Isaev, and then we also have the Makava Mark 3D, the Lubeck as well. And today it's time to have a look at the Sd.Kfz.251. This is a new half-track which is going to be coming to the German tree and one of the prizes for the Strategy or Strategist event, and it is a unique vehicle in the game right now, which is really nice to see. The 25110 has access to a 37mm. That 37mm is able to fire APHE, HE, and also APCR. So very standard compared to a lot of the lower rank 37mm that we see in the German tech tree. It's also going to be coming into the game at rank 1. It will be premium, so you will be able to get all the modifications for free and also get those nice premium bonuses such as SL and the RP rewards. It's going to be at battle rating 1.0, so this thing is going to be as low as it comes, and then also the repair cost because of that is going to be about 300 to 600 SL. So what this means is the vehicle is going to be really cheap, it's going to be a little bit of fun, and in my opinion, a great event vehicle. That to me is what event vehicles should be, a little bit of fun and just something which is you can just kind of bring out whenever you're bored, normally grinding. You can play some weird and wacky stuff, which is why I much prefer stuff like the Sd.Kfz.251 to stuff like the Brezhnev Isaev. The other thing about the 251 is this is the first 251 we have in the game. If you didn't know, the 251 was widely used by Germany in many different roles, but the main one being just standard infantry mobility, being able to transport troops around and keep up with certain tactics, such as of course the Blitzkrieg, as all of you know. But there were a bunch of modifications of the 251, whether it was for reconnaissance purposes, whether it was for extra radio range, whether it was for anything like that. And that means that there are some options for the game to be able to get some of these vehicles. And this is one of them with the 37mm. There's also others with stuff such as mortars. There's one with the long-barreled 75, which I'm sure will come to game at some point. So yeah, there's a ton of options now that we have the base model in the game of course the half-track. All that has to be done is stuff built on top of it. This machine in game has a crew of 5. It has 3 in the, I suppose, superstructure and 2 next to each other in the driving position. So it won't be just as simple as machine gunning all of the guys out of the top, even though they all have their heads popped out. So therefore it will be easy to just machine gun them to death. You will also have to kill the 2 guys in the bottom. The engine is in the front, and also because it has this 2-wheel drive set, it should be able to whip around the place pretty well. One of the problems with wheeled vehicles in general is just wheeled vehicles without any tracks is on maps which have a lot of mud, on maps which have a lot of snow, what ends up happening is they get stuck in a lot of areas, or they just become incredibly slow. Because this machine has both, because it has the wheels in the front and the tracks in the back, it means that that isn't too much of an issue. This thing should be able to traverse whatever it feels like, whenever it feels like, and that is, a really nice thing to have. It also carries a ridiculous amount of ammunition if you need it to, so that's, always good. Now, it is coming into a lower rank, which is heavily dominated by stuff such as fast-firing 37s and also autocannons, so the armor that it has, around up to 14.5mm, ain't really going to do anything. This thing is not really going to be able to survive many shots, but the main thing with it is it's just, a little bit of fun, as we said. With the 37mm as well, the whole thing has the whole thing actually moves when it fires, so the breech moves out and stuff, which is always a lovely touch. There does seem to be a little bit of a modeling issue when it comes to the gunner and the 37 itself, he seems like he's got his shoulder stuck in the shoulder bracket area, so that's a bit of an issue, but it is kind of how it is. The other thing is, it's not a surprise to see the 251s. We've seen pushes into other vehicles which are similar. We now have all of the major variants of the 234 in game, also stuff like the 222 and the 221. I'm sure those machines will come in time. But it does mean we now have new avenues for the Germans just to kind of have a little bit of fun with. The Germans made a bunch of weird and wacky designs, so no matter where you look, there will be a weird and wonderful prototype, especially in the Second World War, on a specific chassis, and with the ability of adding, the Sd.Kfz, hopefully we see some of them. The options for me, obviously, would be stuff which is based off the Panzer IV and the Panzer III chassis, which those were mainly used, but you've got stuff such as the Stug-4, which could easily be added. You have stuff such as, if you want to go in different tiers, obviously, as I said, the 222 variants. But the major thing is there's just a ton of options for Germany when it comes to these little style events where you can throw stuff in. You could even throw in stuff like the SPGs or the artillery pieces, the Hummel, the Vesp, stuff like that if you really wanted to. So there's a lot of options for these styles of vehicle. And I really hope that this is the first of many 251s, even though these vehicles are never going to be ones which you sit there and you play a ton of. You probably play 5 to 10 games of, have a good experience, move on to the next one. But it's just a part of history which I really think should be, added to the game. The fact is, War Thunder for me is not just a game, it's also a great learning tool for other individuals. The amount of times when we hear a new vehicle which has been introduced, and the first thing that is talked about is its history, where it comes from, maybe who tested it, what company made it, what different variants it could have, how is it going to look in the game, and then after that aspect comes in how is it going to work competitively, or is it going to be okay in the game. And I think these unique events, these strategist events, do have a really nice place to be able to tell the stories of these vehicles, and I hope in the future that is something which is pushed even more, not just by Gajin, but also parts of the community who want to learn about the history of the vehicles. Gajin already do quite a lot on their Instagram, their Twitter, even in a lot of the dev blogs, where they'll have a little historical section, and it gives you little tidbits to be able to push on and talk about other ideas, and I think that's awesome. That's how it should be. It should be kind of a look under the page, and then it should be up to the person reading to reveal the whole page to understand where all these vehicles are from, and then give them a little bit of a go. But obviously this thing isn't going to be what we class as meta, it's not going to be a competitive vehicle. It's just going to be a little bit of fun, just like stuff like the BA-11, where you can just fly around the place, shoot a few people with the 37, and just kind of enjoy life. Of course, it's going to be better to play something like a Panzer II, maybe even something like a Panzer 35, but at the end of the day, for me, the best part of War Thunder is the variety. And with more vehicles added like this, the variety just increases. Instead of just playing the same vehicles over and over and over again for millions upon millions of matches, you can play different parts of the game and have fun with it. So yeah, I understand a lot of people for this event are probably looking at the Macabre and thinking, yep, I'm gonna get that. There's probably a few people looking at the ship and going, ooh, that interests me, I'm gonna pick that up. And this one is probably going to be in like a third or second place for many people. So hopefully with this strategist event, obviously we don't know all the details yet, hopefully it will be better than some of the other Build-A-Bear events where we can get more than just 2 vehicles, but I would say this is a solid second choice if you want to get a major vehicle and a minor vehicle, just because it will be a little bit of fun. It will be something you can crack out when, you know, maybe your mates have got bored of grinding mid-tier or high-tier for a bit and you just want a bit of fun, you want to, you know, relax, have some food and play stuff like this. I think that is the way to go for this vehicle. You know, it's just like all of the other ones that we have at lower tiers, especially Germany, that has a ton of really fun vehicles at that BR. As always, I hope you all have a wonderful day, and I'll see you next time. I'd just like to thank Trigger Hippie, Universe, Conte Baraka, Elove Goat, Eugens Terry, Ambrosius McClellan, Daniel Stanton, Martinez, B. Young, Hans, and Samuel Slick for supporting the channel.